Sayfullo Saipov has pleaded not guilty to terrorism charges for his role in the October 2017 attack at a Manhattan bike path. Sayfullo Saipov, the man accused of using a rented truck to fatally strike 8 people on a New York City bike path in 2017, became radicalized by watching ISIS videos online and still believes he had a religious obligation to carry out the attack, his court-appointed defense lawyer said in opening statements of his terrorism trial Monday. And as we sit here today, he still believes that. He still believes the ISIS messaging and he still believes it was God's will that he do what he did, Saipov's attorney David Patton said. Saipov has pleaded not guilty in federal court to 28 counts, including 8 counts of murder, 18 counts of attempted murder and other terrorism charges in connection with the deadliest terror attack in New York since 9/11. If convicted, he is eligible for the death penalty. The trial is the first federal death penalty case heard under President Joe Biden, who had previously pledged to eliminate the death penalty at the federal level. The charges stem from the attack on Halloween 2017 in which Saipov allegedly drove a U-Haul truck into cyclists and pedestrians on Manhattan's West Side bike path. He then crashed the vehicle into a school bus and left the truck while brandishing a pellet gun and paintball gun, authorities said at the time. He was shot by an NYPD officer and taken into custody, officials said. He allegedly told investigators he planned the attack for about a year and was inspired by ISIS videos, according to a criminal complaint. In court Monday, prosecutor Alexander Lee recounted the attack, describing how Saipov created a scene of destruction and horror using a rented U-Haul truck as his weapon. Afterward, Saipov was eager to tell federal agents about his terroristic plot, Lee said. He told the FBI agents how he planned and practiced his attack. He told them that his goal was to kill as many people as possible. He told them that the leader of ISIS had called for attacks and the defendant responded, Lee said. Saipov smiled at the memory of his attack during an interview with federal agents in the hospital, Lee said. He also asked to display an ISIS flag in his hospital room at the time, according to the prosecutor. Saipov still maintains his allegiance to ISIS, the prosecutor said. He's told family members that he is a soldier of ISIS and recorded jail calls in the years since the attack, according to Lee. Defense acknowledges he carried out the attack. Patton, Saipov's defense attorney, did not dispute that he committed the attack and focused his opening statements on Saipov's motives and connections to ISIS. The attorney called Saipov's action senseless, adding, "There is no excuse for what he did and we will not offer one to you." The defendant was inspired by ISIS, but the terrorist organization did not aid him in committing the attack, Patton said. ISIS leaders claimed responsibility for Saipov's attack 2 days after the incident, Patton acknowledged. But the defense attorney argued that the terrorist group historically has claimed responsibility for violent events that are not substantiated by authorities as perpetrated by ISIS. He did not expect to walk away from this attack and become a member of ISIS or any organization, Patton said. He expected to die. Saipov was not attached to ISIS in any meaningful way at the time of the attack, the public defender said. Patton gave the jury a history of ISIS and its media operation and distribution network, calling the extremist group's media efforts sophisticated and ahead of its time when Saipov was first inspired by its messaging. He did it because he had become immersed in the world of ISIS messaging online and social media and chat groups, hours and hours of audio and video material and other material. And he had become convinced that it was a religious obligation for him to commit a martyrdom attack, Patton said. Saipov became radicalized consuming extremist content during lengthy solo stints as a long-haul truck driver, his attorney said. He grew up culturally Muslim in Uzbekistan but was not exposed to any significant amount of religious study, and his family members are not ISIS supporters, Patton said. Saipov was in U.S. on a diversity visa. Saipov came to the United States from Uzbekistan in 2010 and was living in New Jersey before the attack. He lived with his wife and 3 children and drove for Uber, according to officials. He came to the U.S. on a diversity immigrant visa, which allows people from countries with low recent immigration to apply for a visa and green card, according to the Department of Homeland Security. He later became a legal permanent resident, an NYPD official said. Of the 8 people killed in the attack, 5 were from Argentina, 2 were Americans, and 1 was from Belgium, police said. The Argentinians were part of a group celebrating the 30th anniversary of their high school graduation in New York City. Argentina's Foreign Affairs Ministry identified them as Hernan Diego Mendoza, Diego Enrique Angolini, Alejandro Damian Panuco, Ariel Erlai, and Hernan Ferrucci. Nicholas Cleaves, 23, from New York, and Darren Drake, 32, from New Milford, New Jersey, were the 2 Americans killed. Anne Laure Decant, a 31-year-old Belgian woman, was also among those killed, according to a statement from her husband, Alexander Nassans. Decant, a mother of 2 young sons, was on a trip to New York with her 2 sisters and her mother, Nassans said after the attack. Glenn Herman, Manhattan pedestrian injury lawyer, is shocked at the carnage that occurred back in 2017. Many of us recall the horror of that October afternoon in 2017 when a pickup truck went barreling down the bike path on the Hudson River Greenway. A path that I have rode over with my children more times than I can count. Since that day, Jersey barriers and other protective obstacles have been found at every entrance to the Greenway that a vehicle was once able to pass through. A sad reminder of the terror that one individual caused. We are saddened and broken-hearted for the friends and families of the victims of that day. As the defendant's trial proceeds, we hope that the proper justice is meted out. About Manhattan pedestrian injury lawyer Glenn Herman. Manhattan pedestrian injury lawyer Glenn Herman takes the time to learn every aspect of your case during our initial meeting in order to properly evaluate the full extent of the damages you or a loved one have suffered. We have been representing seriously injured New Yorkers for over 30 years. Born, raised, and living in the city, we know that when you have been injured in this town, you need an attorney to protect your rights and explain the law to you in a way you can understand. Click here for a no-charge consultation. We represent clients in all 5 boroughs of New York, NY, Manhattan, Staten Island, Queens, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, along with Suffolk County and Nassau County on Long Island, Westchester County, Rockland County, and throughout the entire state of New York. Media contact: R. William. 212-966-1928